You know something's off. Days are passing, but your life feels stuck. You keep telling yourself you'll fix it tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. Your mind feels messy, your routine is broken, and deep down, you're tired of it. Tired of waking up with a weight on your chest, tired of putting on a smile when inside, it feels like something's slipping, like you're slowly drifting away from the person you were meant to become. It's not that you're lazy, it's not that you don't care. It's that somewhere along the way, clarity got buried beneath chaos. Discipline got traded for distraction. And purpose. It started to feel like a distant idea instead of a driving force. But here's a truth that hits harder than we care to admit. Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It keeps moving. And if you don't take the wheel, it'll drive you straight into regret. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could be good today, but instead, you choose tomorrow." That single sentence, it's a mirror. Because every time you push your goals into the next day, every time you numb the discomfort instead of facing it, you're choosing to drift. Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." And isn't that what we do? We scroll, we delay, we distract. But at what cost? The uncomfortable truth is this: you already know what needs to change. You've known for a while. What you need now isn't more advice. It's a reason to act, to realign, to take your power back, one choice at a time. And if that's what you're looking for, clarity, strength, direction, then you're in the right place. Because today isn't about motivation. It's about ownership, about reclaiming your time, your mind, your mission. If what we're building here speaks to you, there's one simple free favor you can do. Just hit that subscribe button. It lets us know we're walking this path together. And trust me, we've got a lot more coming that you won't want to miss. Let's get into it. Clarity is your superpower. You ever feel like you're running, but you're not going anywhere? Like you're putting in effort, doing things, checking boxes, but somehow your life still feels off. That's not laziness. That's not lack of potential. That's a signal, a red flag that your energy is leaking into a dozen directions without purpose. And here's the truth: you can't hit a target you haven't defined. Most people aren't stuck because they're incapable. They're stuck because they've never really asked themselves what they're aiming for. Not in some vague, half-hearted way, but with brutal honesty. Clarity isn't just a nice bonus. It's the foundation. Without it, life turns into a blurry loop of reaction. Wake up, scroll, work, repeat. You move, but you don't progress. And the worst part? You start to feel like it's your fault. Like you're broken. But you're not. You're just misaligned. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you don't have a consistent goal in life, you can't live it in a consistent way." And that hits hard, because that's exactly what most people are missing. A direction, a why, a point on the map. So let's strip this down. Forget what you've been told you should want. Clear the noise. What do you want? Like, truly. If nothing was off limits, no one to please, no judgment, what would make this life feel real to you? Clarity begins when you stop living by default and start living by design. And it doesn't require some 10-year plan. Start small. What excites you? What makes time disappear when you do it? What's the thing that, if you focused on it every day, would make your life feel less like survival and more like purpose? Plato believed that the unexamined life is not worth living. He wasn't being dramatic. He was pointing to something deeper. When you don't ask the hard questions, when you don't pause to define your own values, your own aims, you end up chasing someone else's. The car, the job, the lifestyle that looks shiny on the outside, but feels hollow when you get it. That's how people end up successful on paper, but anxious and unfulfilled behind closed doors. Clarity is about subtraction, not addition. It's removing what doesn't align so you can see what does. Carl Jung once observed that people don't see God because they don't look low enough, meaning we often overlook the obvious. We search for clarity in the big, flashy answers when it's actually hiding in the quiet things we ignore. That discomfort you feel when you're around certain people. Clarity, that recurring dream you've had since you were a kid. Clarity, that sense of dread on Sunday night. That is also clarity. And once you start seeing it, your brain shifts. What used to feel overwhelming starts to organize itself. Your decisions get cleaner, your standards get higher, and suddenly the things you used to tolerate, chaos, uncertainty, distraction, don't sit right anymore. You start moving different. You speak with more weight. You walk into rooms with a sense of direction that people can feel even before you open your mouth. Socrates taught through questions, and for good reason. Questions ignite clarity. So here are a few. What are you pretending not to know? What are you tolerating that's actually draining you? And if nothing changes, where does that road take you in 5 years? These aren't easy questions, but they're necessary. Because clarity isn't about knowing every step. It's about choosing one true direction and giving yourself permission to follow it. Even Nietzsche, who was no stranger to inner chaos, believed that he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. That's the power of clarity. It gives your pain a purpose. It gives your struggle context. It doesn't remove the challenges, but it reminds you why you're facing them in the first place. So if you're feeling lost, don't panic. Don't self-destruct. Just pause, breathe, and start asking better questions. Define your North Star. Write it down, say it out loud, adjust it as you grow, but don't leave it blank. Because drifting might feel safe in the short term, but in the long run, it costs you everything. And here's the good news. Clarity isn't reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It's built, it's chosen, and once you have it, it changes how you move through the world. You stop chasing and you start creating. You stop settling and you start building. So pick up the pen, define your direction, and give your energy a destination that actually makes your life feel like yours again. Take control of your mind. You wake up every morning with a powerful tool at your disposal, one that shapes every experience, every decision, every emotion. What is it? Your mind. And here's the kicker. Whether you consciously take control of it or not, it's always in use. So, the big question isn't whether you'll use this tool, it's how you'll use it. Are you going to let it run on autopilot, driven by old habits and unchecked impulses, or are you going to take the helm and steer it deliberately? Let's get real about what it means to control your mind. This isn't about suppressing thoughts or trying to become a Zen master overnight. This is about recognizing that every thought in your head contributes to your life's trajectory. Like Aristotle famously said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Your thoughts are the seeds of these habits. If you plant seeds of negativity and doubt, don't be surprised when you harvest a life full of frustration and failure. But if you sow thoughts of resilience, positivity, and purpose, you prepare the ground for a flourishing existence. Take the reins by starting small. Notice a negative thought. Acknowledge it, sure, but don't invite it to sit down and make itself at home. Carl Jung once highlighted the power of our shadow selves, but he also taught us that we have the power to confront and understand these darker aspects, integrating them into our growth, rather than letting them drive our decisions unconsciously. So when fear whispers that you're going to fail, respond with a wisdom that is uniquely yours. Every failure is just another step towards success. I learn, therefore I grow. Control extends beyond combating negativity. It's about crafting a narrative in your mind that aligns with your aspirations. Socrates urged us to know ourselves, and part of that knowing is crafting our internal dialogue to support our true desires and values. If your internal dialogue matches what you truly want from life, you're not just thinking, you're manifesting. And let's talk about those moments when controlling your mind seems impossible, when stress, anxiety, or fear feel overwhelming. This is where Nietzsche steps in with his idea of amor fati, the love of one's fate. Embrace every thought, every emotion as necessary parts of your journey. By accepting these elements, not as enemies but as guides, you learn more about yourself and how to achieve mastery over your impulses. But how do you make this practical? Start by setting aside time each day for reflection. Reflect on your thoughts, your reactions. Are they serving you? Are they leading you towards the life you want? Or are they holdovers from old fears and failures? Use this time to reshape, to refine, to redirect your mental energies. Remember, controlling your mind isn't about achieving a state of constant happiness or unbroken productivity. Plato reminded us that the soul is a complex entity with many competing desires and interests. The goal is harmony, not unison. It's about making sure all parts of you are heard, understood, and directed towards something worthwhile. Discipline is freedom, not punishment. Everyone wants freedom. Freedom to live how they want, to build something meaningful, to feel in control of their time, their body, their mind. But here's the truth most people avoid. Freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you feel like. It comes from doing what's necessary, even when you don't feel like it. That's the paradox. The path to real freedom runs straight through discipline. Not the kind that punishes, restricts, or drains the joy out of life, but the kind that sharpens you, anchors you, and earns your future one decision at a time. But somewhere along the line, we got it twisted. Discipline got lumped in with guilt, shame, and rigidity. People started associating it with rules, self-denial, and burnout. But it's not about control for control's sake. It's about choosing long-term alignment over short-term relief. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That kind of mastery isn't about white-knuckling through life. It's about training your impulses to serve your purpose instead of letting them run the show. Think about it. Every time you delay what matters for what's easy, you're casting a vote for the version of you who stays stuck. But every time you show up anyway, especially when it's hard, you're building something deeper than results. You're building identity. You're telling yourself, "I'm the kind of person who follows through." And over time, that voice becomes louder than excuses. That belief becomes stronger than resistance. Aristotle wasn't wrong when he said, "Through discipline comes freedom." He understood that excellence wasn't a fluke. It was a habit, born from repeated effort and intention. That's what discipline gives you. It takes the guesswork out of progress. You don't have to wait for inspiration to strike or for the stars to align. You just do the work, day in, day out. And the beauty is, the more you do it, the easier it becomes, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Carl Jung talked about the concept of individuation, the process of becoming whole, and a huge part of that journey is learning to integrate the parts of yourself that want comfort and chaos with the parts that crave growth and stability. Discipline is the bridge. It's how you turn potential into action. It's how you stop being at war with yourself, when you start doing the hard things, not out of punishment, but out of purpose. You become congruent, you become aligned, and that's when life really starts to feel right. But let's keep it grounded. You don't need to overhaul your entire life to start. You don't need a 5 a.m. routine or a 90-day productivity sprint. You just need one thing, one action you've been avoiding, one uncomfortable choice that would move the needle. Do it, today. Not perfectly, Not dramatically, just do it. Because the second you follow through, despite resistance, you start rebuilding self-trust. And that, more than any hack or habit, is the engine of personal power. Nietzsche wrote, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." Meaning, if you don't lead yourself, something else, fear, distraction, impulse, will do it for you. That's why discipline isn't some dry mechanical system. It's a spiritual practice, a way of becoming your own authority, a way of proving moment by moment that your life belongs to you. The Stoics would remind us that our job is not to seek an easy life, but a meaningful one. And that meaning, it's found in showing up, in doing the difficult thing, not because it's fun, but because it's right. Because it shapes you into someone who can be trusted, with responsibility, with success, with the kind of life most people only dream about. So no, discipline isn't punishment, it's power, quiet, daily, undeniable power, and it's waiting for you every time you choose action over avoidance, every time you say yes to the hard thing, every time you honor your future over your feelings. That's not restriction, that's liberation, that's the real you rising. Focus is your secret weapon. You ever feel like your brain's got 20 browser tabs open at once? Like you're trying to do everything, be everywhere, keep everyone happy, and somehow nothing gets done the way you want it to? That's not a failure of effort, that's a failure of focus, and it's more common than you think. We live in a world that glorifies multitasking, that applauds being busy as if it's a badge of honor. But busyness without focus, it's just noise, movement without direction, effort without impact. Focus, on the other hand, is quiet. It doesn't yell for attention, it just produces results. It's the difference between heat and fire. A scattered beam warms, a concentrated beam burns through steel. When you decide to concentrate your attention, really lock in on one goal, one project, one direction, you're no longer just working, you're building. You're cutting through the clutter and saying, "This is what matters right now." The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Focus is exactly that power. It's the ability to tune out what doesn't matter and zero in on what does. And not just for 5 minutes before another notification hits, but for long enough to actually make progress. Let's be real, it's hard, especially now when every app, every ping, every scroll is fighting for a slice of your attention. That's why focus isn't just a skill, it's a rebellion. It's saying, "No, I won't be pulled in every direction. I choose where my energy goes." And that choice, that's where freedom lives. Because when you protect your attention, you start to own your life. Carl Jung once noted that your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. That awakening happens through focus, through the conscious act of turning inward, figuring out what truly matters to you, and then giving it your full, undivided attention. Now here's where most people trip. They try to do everything all at once. But true mastery doesn't come from dabbling. It comes from depth. Aristotle put it plainly, the energy of the mind is the essence of life. So where that energy goes, that's where your life follows. If you want clarity, success, peace, whatever it is, it's going to require you to choose, to say yes to one thing and no to 100 others, not because they're bad, but because they're not the one thing that moves you forward. This kind of focus builds momentum. It's like training a muscle. At first your mind resists. It wants to jump around, check your phone, scroll, avoid. But the more you train it, the stronger it gets. You stop flinching at boredom. You stop chasing stimulation. You start chasing purpose. Socrates believed that the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. That's the magic of focus. It's not about fixing everything. It's about building something better by consistently pointing your energy in the same direction until the results start to speak for themselves. And let's not forget what Nietzsche added to the conversation. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. That chaos, that wild creative energy, it's not the enemy. But if you want to turn it into something brilliant, something lasting, it needs direction. And direction only comes through focus. So, here's your challenge. What's the one thing that deserves your full attention right now? What's the one project, habit, goal, or dream that if you committed to it fully would change the trajectory of your life? Pick it, name it, and then build your day around it. Protect your time like it's sacred. Set boundaries like your peace depends on it, because it does. You don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be fully here. One goal, one task, one clear direction, and if you stay with it, if you pour your energy into that one thing, it will pour back into you, not all at once, but over time it will compound. That's how deep work works. That's how mastery is built. That's how focused energy turns potential into progress. So stop trying to do everything. Do the right thing. Do it deeply. Do it with presence. Focus is not just your secret weapon. It's your way out of chaos and into something extraordinary. Persistence is the bridge to everything. There's this moment, quiet, invisible, but powerful, when life hits you harder than you expected. You planned, you prepared, you even hyped yourself up with all the right intentions. And still, things don't go your way. Maybe the opportunity slips through your fingers. Maybe people let you down. Maybe you let yourself down. And in that moment, most people start to question everything. Was I ever capable? Was this even meant for me? But here's the truth most people miss. It's not the setback that defines your story. It's whether or not you decide to keep showing up. Persistence isn't loud. It's not flashy. No one claps for you when you do the hard thing quietly for the 100th time. But that's where real strength lives, in the repetition, in the refusal to stay down, in the quiet decision to try again, even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged, even when no one's watching. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you stop outsourcing your strength to circumstances and start cultivating it within, persistence becomes your power. And here's the beautiful irony. Most of the people you admire, the ones who seem to have it all figured out, they didn't get there because life was smooth. They got there because they were willing to fail, adapt, and move forward anyway. Carl Jung believed that, I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. That choice, to rise again after being knocked down, is the heartbeat of persistence. It's easy to keep going when the path is clear and the results are quick. But that's not where growth happens. Growth happens when progress slows, when doubt creeps in, when no one else believes in your vision but you. That's where most people turn around. But that's also where something magical can happen, if you stay, if you push through, if you stop waiting to feel ready and just commit to the process. Plato once said, courage is knowing what not to fear. And persistence is just courage on repeat. It's choosing not to fear slow progress. It's choosing not to fear the judgment of others or the discomfort of the unknown. It's choosing to trust that the seeds you're planting today, even if you can't see them growing yet, are doing work below the surface. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Consistency beats intensity over time. One brick at a time builds a foundation. One rep, one conversation, one uncomfortable step forward. Every small act stacks. Every time you choose discipline over doubt, effort over excuses, you're reinforcing the mindset of someone who refuses to stay average. Socrates, known for his method of constant questioning, believed that an unexamined life is not worth living. But persistence is what gives us the chance to examine life through action, not just thought. To live fully by continuing forward, adjusting, evolving. Not just thinking about change, but doing the work day after day, especially when it's hard. And Nietzsche, he put it bluntly, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." When your purpose is clear, you can withstand the chaos, the waiting, the rejection. Persistence doesn't mean never falling. It means knowing exactly why you'll stand up one more time than you fall. Gratitude rewires everything. You ever notice how easy it is to spot what's wrong? How your mind naturally zooms in on the mistake, the delay, the thing that didn't go as planned? It's like we're wired to hunt for problems. Scroll long enough, and you'll start believing the whole world is falling apart. But here's the catch. Your brain's not broken. It's just trying to protect you. It's built to detect threats. What it's not built to do automatically is appreciate what's working. That takes effort, awareness, practice. But when you train it, that's when everything begins to shift. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good emotion, it's a weapon, one that can cut through negativity, anxiety, even burnout. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." And that's the whole point. Gratitude rewires how you interpret your life. It doesn't erase your struggles. It reframes them. It changes the lens through which you see the exact same situation. Carl Jung understood this dynamic deeply. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Practicing real gratitude, the kind where you stop and actually feel the weight of what you do have, makes the unconscious conscious. It interrupts autopilot mode. It helps you realize that maybe, just maybe, you're more blessed than burdened. That even in the middle of uncertainty, there are things in your life pointing you forward. But let's be clear, this isn't about blind positivity or pretending everything's fine when it's not. True gratitude exists alongside struggle. It sees the storm and still says, "There's something here for me." Nietzsche, as intense as he was, knew this too. What does not kill me makes me stronger. And gratitude is how you find strength in what doesn't kill you. It's how you extract the meaning from the mess. It's how you remind yourself that you've survived before and you'll rise again. Start simple. Each morning, say 3 things out loud that you're thankful for. Doesn't matter if they're big or small. A warm cup of coffee, a text from someone who gets you, the fact that your heart is still beating and you've got another shot at this life. The key isn't just to list them, it's to feel them, let it sink in, let it change your chemistry, because it will. Studies show that genuine gratitude alters brain function, reduces cortisol, increases resilience. You literally become harder to break. Plato once said, "A grateful mind is a great mind, which eventually attracts to itself great things." That's not just philosophy, it's momentum. What you focus on expands. If all you see is what's lacking, your world becomes scarcity. But if you train your mind to notice what's present, what's possible, what's good, you begin to experience abundance even before anything external changes. Socrates believed that contentment was natural wealth. That's what gratitude offers, not more stuff, but more satisfaction with what already is. And from that place of contentment, you make better decisions. You feel clearer. You speak with more presence. You show up with a different energy, one that attracts opportunity, one that magnetizes peace, one that doesn't need to grasp or hustle just to feel okay. And here's the wild part. The more grateful you are, the more reasons you find to stay grateful. It compounds. It changes how you talk to people, how you respond to setbacks, how you treat yourself. It takes you out of survival mode and into creation mode, because when you realize how much you already have, you stop wasting energy on proving your worth. You already know it. So the next time life feels heavy, start small. Close your eyes, take a breath, find one thing, just one, that's still working. Let it remind you that not everything is broken. Let it remind you that you're still here. And being here? That's something. That's everything. Gratitude won't solve all your problems, but it will change the way you carry them. And sometimes that's the shift that changes it all. Action is the answer. Always. You ever catch yourself stuck in your own head? Replaying ideas, possibilities, doubts, like a mental carousel that never stops spinning. You plan, you journal, you visualize, and still nothing moves. That's not laziness. That's the trap of overthinking. It feels like you're being productive, like you're making progress by thinking through every angle. But let's call it what it is. Hesitation dressed up as preparation. And the longer you stay there, the wider the gap grows between the life you dream about and the life you're actually living. The truth? Action is the only thing that breaks the cycle. You don't need another self-help video, another perfect moment, or one more motivational podcast before you begin. You need movement, not massive leaps, not a total reinvention overnight, just motion, one step, one uncomfortable call, one task you've been avoiding. Because as the Stoics taught, philosophy isn't about talk, it's about living. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That's not a suggestion, it's a wake-up call. Enough thinking, enough waiting. Be the thing you say you want to be. Clarity doesn't come before the action, it comes because of it. That's where most people get it wrong. They sit still, hoping the perfect path will reveal itself in a flash of insight. But the mind works differently. Carl Jung noted, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." Identity isn't built in your head. It's built through the actions you take consistently. The path unfolds only after you start walking. So why don't we move? Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of getting it wrong. But what if failure wasn't a dead end, but a doorway? Nietzsche wrote, "No one can construct for you the bridge upon which precisely you must cross the stream of life." That bridge, it's made from your own actions. No one else can build it for you. No blueprint exists that fits everyone. Your bridge is personal, and you build it with your steps, not your thoughts. Even Aristotle understood this when he said, "We learn by doing." Action is how we gain knowledge, not the other way around. You don't wait until you're wise enough to act. You act your way into wisdom. You learn on the job, in real time, through messy attempts, awkward starts, and imperfect efforts. Because that's where growth hides, not in the planning, but in the execution. Let's be real. Inaction is seductive. It gives you the illusion of safety, but safety without motion is stagnation, and stagnation breeds frustration. You weren't meant to live in standby mode. You were built for movement, for momentum. And that momentum? It starts small, micro shifts, tiny wins, that uncomfortable email, that workout you skipped yesterday, that project you keep putting off. Every action is a vote for your future self. Every movement pulls you closer to the version of you that actually does what they say they're about. Socrates believed that the key to a meaningful life was not just in asking deep questions, but in living the answers. You don't need to have everything figured out to begin. You just need to decide that later isn't a strategy anymore, that waiting for perfect is just a fancy way to stay stuck. The gap between where you are and where you want to be, it's not filled with more thinking. It's filled with actions you haven't taken yet. So ask yourself, what's one thing I can do right now that brings me closer to who I want to become? Not a big thing, not a life-altering decision, just something small and immediate. Something that proves to your brain, we don't just talk about change here, we build it. One uncomfortable, imperfect, courageous action at a time. Don't overcomplicate it. Just start. Because when you move, your doubts get quieter. Your confidence grows. The world begins to respond, and you realize that everything you were waiting for, it was actually waiting for you. You become who you train yourself to be. Ever notice how the smallest things seem to shape your entire day? You hit snooze once, then twice, and suddenly the whole morning feels rushed. You say, I'll just check my phone real quick, and before you know it, 45 minutes are gone. It's not that your life gets thrown off by huge, dramatic events. It's the little choices, made over and over again, that build the life you wake up to. Whether you realize it or not, every action you take is casting a vote, not for what you want, but for who you're becoming. And that's not just philosophy, that's practical, measurable truth. You're not sculpted in big breakthroughs, you're built in the quiet, repetitive, unglamorous routines you follow when no one's watching. Carl Jung said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." That one hits hard, doesn't it? Because we all love to talk about what we're going to do, what kind of person we want to be. But the mirror doesn't lie. It reflects your patterns, not your intentions. So ask yourself honestly, what are you training for right now? And I don't mean in the gym, I mean in your mind, in your habits, in the way you treat people and speak to yourself. Every decision is practice. Every routine is reinforcement. You can't keep voting for chaos and expect peace. You can't keep feeding distractions and hope to grow discipline. Your future self isn't just some vague vision. It's being carved in real time by what you do today. Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. That line, it doesn't care about motivation. It doesn't care how inspired you feel. It's about consistency. Doing the right thing, especially when you don't feel like it, is how identity forms. You don't become a writer by waiting for inspiration. You become one by writing. You don't become fit by buying the gear. You become fit by showing up and sweating. Simple, not easy, but always true. The Stoics understood this intimately. They didn't believe in waiting around for motivation or fate to bless them with transformation. They believed in self-discipline, in choosing what was hard, because it made you strong. As Seneca said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. And how do we waste it? By letting our habits drift, by assuming we can get to it later, by training ourselves to settle into patterns that take us further from who we say we want to be. Nietzsche pushed this even further. He wrote, "Become who you are," which sounds almost paradoxical. How can you become what you already are? But he wasn't talking about becoming someone new. He was talking about uncovering the parts of you that get buried under fear, distraction, and laziness. The potential that already lives inside you, waiting to be revealed through repetition, through commitment, through work. This is where structure comes in, not to suffocate your freedom, but to unlock it. A good routine doesn't trap you, it sets you free. It removes the daily friction of indecision. It helps you move from intention to execution without burning energy on the "should I" or "shouldn't I." internal debate. You want to be someone who reads more, put a book by your bed, someone who values health, build workouts into your calendar like meetings. These aren't just productivity hacks, they're expressions of identity. Plato once said, "The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself." That victory happens in micro moments, when you say no to the easy out, when you get up instead of staying in bed, when you speak the truth instead of what's convenient. These are small wins, sure, but over time they shape you into someone you trust. And that's where real confidence comes from. Not hype, not ego, trust, the kind you earn by keeping promises to yourself. So no, you don't have to be perfect. You don't need to crush every goal or overhaul your life overnight. But you do have to start moving with intention. Who you're becoming isn't out there waiting. It's showing up every time you choose progress over procrastination, momentum over comfort, purpose over patterns. Because in the end, it's not the big declarations that shape your life. It's the small decisions, repeated daily, that whisper into your future. This is who I am. Step into your power. There's a moment somewhere between frustration and awakening when it finally hits you. No one's coming. No mentor, no miracle, no perfect timing. And that realization can feel heavy at first, a little lonely, maybe even unfair. But sit with it long enough and you'll start to feel something shift. That weight, it turns into power, because if no one's coming to save you, then you don't have to wait anymore. You don't need permission. You don't need the stars to align. You just need to decide that you're ready to begin. We spend so much time waiting for life to hand us something, opportunity, clarity, courage. But what if those things don't come before you act? What if they only arrive because you act? The Stoics would say that the obstacle is not in your way, it is the way. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." You're not meant to avoid challenges, you're meant to rise to meet them. And rising doesn't mean flipping your whole life overnight. It means choosing, clearly, decisively, to stop coasting, to stop hoping the external world will fix what's misaligned within. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And he was right, because stepping into your power means owning every piece of who you are, the strength and the mess, the vision and the fear. No more outsourcing your destiny, no more blaming your past. It's you. It's always been you. Socrates believed that the unexamined life is not worth living. So let's examine it. Are you living on autopilot, running someone else's script, settling for a life that doesn't fit just because it's familiar? If the answer's yes, good. Awareness is the first step to taking it back. Power comes the moment you stop being passive and start being deliberate. You don't need a roadmap, you just need a direction. Pick something worth building and begin, even if it's messy, even if it's small. Nietzsche challenged us to become who you are. That's not a slogan, it's a call to war. Because becoming who you truly are requires shedding who you were taught to be. It means unlearning the fear, the shame, the self-doubt that was handed to you before you ever knew how to fight back. It means reclaiming your identity, not the polished one you present online, but the raw, imperfect, powerful one that's been buried under years of hesitation. And here's what most people get wrong. They think stepping into their power means feeling confident first. That confidence comes before action. It doesn't. Confidence is a byproduct of movement, of follow-through, of showing yourself day by day that you can trust the voice inside. The more you act, the louder that voice gets. And soon the world stops shaping you, and you start shaping it. Aristotle reminded us, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. But knowing yourself isn't just introspection, it's reflection plus responsibility. It's looking at where you are, where you've been, and asking yourself, where do I want to go now? Then walking in that direction, imperfectly, but with purpose. The power to transform your life isn't found in some book, course, or coach. It's found in the daily choice to show up as the version of you who's done waiting and ready to build. So here's the final truth. The future doesn't unfold randomly. It responds to you.